Good morning and welcome. Today I'm joined by Hayley Pells, owner of Avia Autos and valued blogger to Auto Resource, brought to you by Automechanica. Hayley, how are things going?
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Chloe. Things are going really well here in Wales, despite the weather. Well, my name's Hayley Pells, and I'm the owner-operator of Avia Autos. I describe myself as a portfolio mechanic. So this means principally my skill level lies in mechanics, and I'm an MOT tester, and I operate at the front line in my own workshop. But it also means that I have some transferable skills, and I use them in writing and media work, and occasionally with other companies.
Fabulous, thank you. So how did you sort of start? Where did you get the idea of becoming a portfolio mechanic from?
Well, I became a portfolio mechanic out of necessity rather than desire.
Okay.
And I think a lot of us who work for ourselves, we sort of naturally have that agility, and it's quite an organic career pathway. So I was working in my workshop. I'd been there for quite a number of years, and I was heavily pregnant with my son. I was about 8 months pregnant. I was working on a Lotus Exige, and I got stuck in it. I was absolutely outraged, and such is the relationship that I have with my team. They looked on this situation and just laughed, which I was really disappointed with. I had to be extracted out of this car. I was quite grumpy about it. In fact, I was so annoyed about it. 6 hours later, I had a son. I was that angry. And whilst I was looking after my brand new little boy, who was quite rude and arrived a month early, that's when I started writing about the industry in earnest. I'd sort of done it as a little bit of a side hustle previously, and I found that I had a real appetite for it, and it grew from.
So what has been your biggest challenge to date since you've been running a business and doing everything else that you do in the wonderful world of Avia Autos?
I'd say every day is a challenge, and that is one of the things that I enjoy about working for myself. I really do enjoy the variety of that kind of autonomy that this sector can provide. And it is also incredibly reassuring that everything that I've invested within my skills, within my equipment, within my workshop, I do have a robust business that I can return to and repair some cars, which I find just really helps me think. I do enjoy the consultancy work and the media work, but I think at my core, I'm always going to be in my workshop.
And then I guess, what's been a highlight if I swap the question round?
I think the absolute highlight for my career was, unfortunately, my son was very ill and I had to take an unexpected year off. We don't have a sort of hierarchy within the workshop. We work very much as a team, and every person, although important, is not critical to the running of the workshop. We can all leave and join in as required. So taking a year off with no notice, returning to my business to find it in a good state of health and to be welcomed back and still have a job to go to, I think really did hammer home to me that the approach that we'd taken for the company was the right one. And there is nothing more humbling than understanding how well people can work.
That's lovely. That's really nice to hear, actually. And credit to you for having such an amazing team to just kind of carry on business.
They are absolutely fantastic. And I think on my return back to work, I had quite a fear that I wasn't needed and that I was just going to drag them down. And, how was I going to work after a year out? I felt all like soft and floppy and my brain felt like mush. And they were really accommodating. They were really supportive. And although they wanted my return, they didn't need my return. And it was a really wonderful place to work.
That's good. Nice to hear. And what are you doing in your business to prepare for the future?
We're in interesting times. The business is highly agile and we do have a couple of revenue streams. So the workshop itself is really quiet at the moment. the drop off of MOT demand has really affected us. Thankfully, we were forewarned and therefore forearmed, and so we've invested heavily in our training and upgrading some equipment. We've moved a lot of our maintenance through to April now, so we do a lot of that in-house ourselves. And I think that is going to be the trend now for the next 8 to 9 years. The sales figures from the SWMT for April this year do not show a hugely sort of impressive number of cars that got sold. So again, that's going to extend that period where we're going to be quiet in April for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'll be looking to do far more training activities, and I'll be looking to be engaging with my leisure customers more. I have some plans for next year to encourage more of our sort of leisure vehicles, classic car owners, track cars, that kind of thing. And through events and marketing, I'd like to see more of them in April to start evening out the work demand over the year.
Sure. Okay. I guess you've had your business for a little while and you're very experienced. What are your 3 killer pieces of advice you'd give other garages out there?
Keep records. Absolutely keep records. And this is obviously a legal obligation for things like tax and bookkeeping, but also it does give you an excellent method to look at what is happening with price points and making sure that your business is still making money. Forecasting is sort of like a natural bedfellow, really, to keeping records, because from those records you can then start developing forecasts and engage with your team and ask for their input. You might be surprised at what great ideas are brewing away right under your nose. And sometimes, just even the smallest of things can really make a difference to that bottom line. So to summarize, that's keeping records, forecasting, and including your team.
Cool. You could probably relate that across all sorts of businesses and not just the garage, but
Absolutely.
It's great. And then finally, just one more question from me. What would you like to see more of in the future, which would help you and other garage businesses?
Further education and formalised further education. I'd like to see a blended approach to the delivery of that education. I'd like to see it recognised. I'd like to see it celebrated. And I'd like to see us investing more time in future-proofing our skills.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you.
Hayley. And I hope the weather cheers up in Wales.
Yeah, well, those green grass of home, it comes from somewhere.
Thank you.